What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Commentary for you. I kind of want my companies to fail. In fact, I kind of need them to fail. And I know that seems counterproductive, but Wendy's is a great point to discuss this with because, to be fair, I did not do any technical analysis of Wendy's. And I know some people will say, well, that makes you a horrible investor. But you know what? Sometimes you just invest with your emotion. And generally, as a rule of thumb, I have to do one of two things to invest into a stock. Either one, some type of technical analysis where I look into the stock, make sure that the company is financially secure. They're not just going to take my money and run, or they're not just going to fall apart the following day. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I do that and you still walk into pitfalls like you've seen with PSEC or with Vector Group. But on the other side of it, sometimes I'm comfortable just investing in a company I know. And let's be honest, who doesn't know Wendy's? What is better in the fast food world than a spicy chicken sandwich, a throwback Biggie Fry, and a Frosty? Like, there's not much better than that. And to be honest with you, when we talk about the starter positions that I create, whether they're $100 or $150, I could probably spend $100 at Wendy's in a month if I really wanted to. So I really wasn't concerned with this initial investment or the fact that I was just investing emotionally. I mean, listen, at some point, you just want to own a stock of a company. You just want to say, hey, I own part of Wendy's. It's not a big part, but I still technically own Wendy's. Like, that's a fun thing to say. Sometimes I'll joke around with someone. I'll say, hey, where do you want to go for lunch? You want to go to my restaurant? Because I own McDonald's. I own Wendy's. Like, that's kind of a fun thing to say, but, at the end of the day, there's also some truth to that. Now, granted, I own a lot more McDonald's than I do Wendy's, but at the same time, Wendy's has been relatively profitable for me, okay? Not only did their price appreciate from when I purchased it, but they also paid me their dividends. So Wendy's hasn't been a total loss. I wanted to reinvest in Wendy's, and maybe before I do, I will go in and start to do some technical analysis and see where they are financially. I know from the outside looking in, Wendy's seems to be doing fairly well. They've got a breakfast launching that I'm sure is going to spike some revenue, and again, it's a company that I'm familiar with and I like. I'm not going to have anything negative to say about my Wendy's investment. And you know what? If I want to go there one day for lunch and joke around that I own the restaurant, it's kind of a jerk thing to do, but I can laugh while I eat my Dave's Classic and say, yeah, technically, they did kind of pay for this meal with their dividend payment. But at the same time, they really didn't pay for all that much. Maybe they paid for the drink. But they still paid for something. Now, if I had invested back into Wendy's right away, I would be in a position to be losing more than the whole 5 cents that I am right now in stock price. So I had to wait for it to fall. I really don't know exactly why it's fallen. Like I said, I'm not technically analyzing this. I'm emotionally analyzing this. So it's not always in terms of stocks going in and looking at every single aspect of a stock, because I've done that before and I've talked myself out of buying stocks that I should have bought, gains that I could have had, because I overanalyzed one or two small aspects of technical data and convinced myself not to buy something when 98% of me knew that I should. On the other side, I've ran into situations like Wendy's where I've emotionally bought something like AT&T when it was high and then, lost a lot more than I should have because I was making that emotional purchase. But those are all things that you learn. And the reality is part of my AT&T emotional purchase works its way into my reinvesting of Wendy's and whether I just need to do that out of emotion or not. At the end of the day, I also have to consider the most I would probably put back in is another $100. At that point, it's the equivalent of 1 share of McDonald's to have 10 shares of Wendy's practically. And is Wendy's going to close tomorrow? Probably not. Again, if you haven't had it, it's a pretty delicious spicy chicken sandwich. It might not be a Popeyes chicken sandwich, but it's a pretty good chicken sandwich in its own right. So those are just some kind of things I consider in kind of a way you can have fun in investing. It doesn't all have to be serious. It all doesn't have to be poring over books and looking at every single cent of every single data sheet of every single financial transaction that a company has. Sometimes it's okay to just say, you know what? I want to have fun today. And to have fun, I'm going to buy some shares of Wendy's. And then maybe I'll go and buy an extra value meal there. But I don't think they call it an extra value meal there. I think that's the other restaurant that I own. Love to know your guys' thoughts on this. Appreciate you checking it out. I will be back in the week with more commentary.